Download Whiskey Hell Podcast. We call attention to the mainstream media narratives weekly in hopes that you'll have fun with how ridiculous the news really is. We don't want to change your mind. We just want to give you perspective so that you can choose more wisely and be more aware. Couple that with great craft beer, hilarious stories, deep thoughts, and real conversations. We know you're going to enjoy it. Download Whiskey Hell Podcast anywhere you find outstanding shows.
Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? Hush.
Hello, and welcome back, World Ablaze listeners. I have taken a break, but not a break away from you. There's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and I want to let everybody know what has been going on. Firstly, which is awesome, new studio. I have dubbed this studio Studio A. Much bigger space, dedicated space to just not this show, but other shows under the Fonts Media banner. One particular show of note that I have to announce is I am back together with my brother, who is the ex-Stretch Goose podcast host, current host of Bleacher Banter and Complaint Department. And he's been doing this for quite a long time, and we've always felt that we've had great banter between each other, and that, hey, sometimes it's just better to have two people in the room having honest discussions. And that podcast, my friends, is labeled Random Thoughts, because when we get together, it truly is random. We're all over the place, and we just speak our minds, and we don't hold back. And I gotta be honest, it's very comedic. It's we do get serious, but it is also very comedic. And I just encourage you all to listen to Random Thoughts. It's available everywhere, and it's more specifically titled Random Thoughts with Manuel and George. And you could find that everywhere that you're listening to World Ablaze, to be quite honest. With that out of the way, outside of the new studio, I am actually, I'm recording in the new studio right now. And so it may sound a little different. The room's still a little live. We got to do some treatment in here, but it is very nice to be here. So this is the first recording of World Ablaze in the new studio that I have dubbed Studio A. Outside of that, I also want to thank everybody that even while I was away for a bit, we have picked up more listeners. I want to give a shout out to the listeners in Texas. Awesome. We also picked up more listeners around the world, some countries I don't want to mention. So Florida's been huge. It's just been everywhere. Virginia, South Dakota. Who am I missing here? I mean, there's just been a plethora of upticks and listens. In fact, let me go ahead and I'm going to look that up right now just so I'm not missing anybody here that has been added. We appreciate everybody's support around the world, but let me give a shout out to those that have just come on board in different states here. Oh yeah, North Carolina. North Carolina is on board and strong as well. Aside from those I mentioned, I do thank every single person around the world who does listen to us and listens to me and continues to support the show. And all I ask is that you spread the word and you let others know about World Ablaze. All right, enough of that bullshit. Let's get on with it. So, firstly, since I have been away, I just want to go ahead and cheers to everybody. When I was putting the show together, I was smoking my cigar, a nice cigar. And I was drinking a pint of Guinness, and I was thinking about what should I put together? What should I put together? And you know what? California never disappoints. So I got to start with California, because California just keeps rearing its ugly communist head. And Gavin Newsom is proudly supporting the failing bullshit that they are imposing on people. But before I talk about good old Gavin in California, let me crack my beer that I am drinking currently. It is a nice tall can, 24-ounce tall can of 805. And that's a beautiful sound. And for everybody who is listening to this, going to work, coming home from work, hell, maybe you just didn't want to work, I'm raising my can to you, and here is a cheers to all of you. Thank you very much. All right, now on to California. So things you may have missed while I was away. The utilities proposal that is going on right now in California regarding electricity. Here's the craziness that's happening with this. Okay, California and the Utilities Commission are proposing that because California can't keep up with electrical demands in the state, it's already, I think they said, about 25% higher than anywhere else in the United States. They want to impose a minimum charge. It's a fixed charge based on your income. Your income. Tell me this isn't inequitable and unfair. So if you earn a higher wage, a higher income overall, they're gonna have the balls, as they say, to impose a higher fixed base rate charge to you just because you make more. It has nothing to do with how much electricity that you consume. No, just because you fucking make more, they're going to go ahead and charge you more. And if you don't make a lot and you're on the lower income scale, but you use up all the electricity in the damn neighborhood, you get charged less. So the socialist, communistic governing body of California thinks this is a good idea. Now, I will say that while Gavin Newsom is proudly behind this and thinks this is an amazing idea, there have been a few Democrats against it, but not for the reasons you think. They're against it because they feel it kind of goes against their Green New Deal agenda that those who put solar panels in their houses will no longer be reaping the benefit. Oh, is that all? Is that it? Nothing to do with being equitable. Nothing to do with fairness and being charged based on your consumption whatsoever. No, just because those who may have spent on solar panels are no longer receiving the benefit of spending on solar panels, because regardless, your base rate will be based on your income. Not okay. And the base rate is just the base rate, by the way. Anyone who works in utilities or billing for any city knows this. This is just your fixed base rate. You're still getting charged for the electricity that you use on top of that. So let's go over some of these proposed rates here. So under the, I'm reading this from governing.com, and as usual, I'll have all the links in the show notes so that you could read all my beautiful research, just so you know that I'm not full of shit. So from governing.com, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a bit just so that we don't have to go through the entire report. But here we go. Now, the CPUC is weighing two main fixed charge proposals. The plan from the state's three big utilities includes the highest charges and is drawing the most controversy. Another, led by the Commission's consumer advocate arm, admitted a more moderate plan. So, under the utilities joint proposal, income-based fixed charges for households earning $28,000 to $69,000 will now be $20 to $34 per month. Again, that's your fixed base charge. So your base charge, basically, your fixed base charge. If you're earning $28,000 to $69,000, would be $20 to $34 a month, regardless of how much you use. Okay, but those that earn $69,000 to $180,000, and that's a pretty big gap, because if you think about it, there's a lot of people within that range, the $69,000 to $180,000. They will pay $51 to $73 per month, and I guarantee you that it's going to be the $73. So just because you make more, you're getting charged double those who make less, regardless of how much you're using. It doesn't matter. But going on, for those that even earn more than that, anyone who earns $180,000 plus would pay $8,500 to $128 a month as their fixed base rate for electricity. Tell me that is not some bullshit. It's clearly punishing those who make more and forcing those who make more to pick up the slack of those who make less and can't afford their bills. Now, it's kind of a good idea if you look at it from the perspective of everybody deserves a chance to have electricity, just as you can say everybody deserves to have a roof over their head, clean water, food. I mean, I won't disagree with that. But the means of how you're trying to get there by punishing those and taking from those that make more isn't fair. And that's not how you do it. Not whatsoever. It's downright bullshit. So I'll admit I may be in one of these higher brackets, but we're very frugal when it comes to our utilities. My wife, I swear to you, it could be the hottest day in the world, and that air conditioner, we're lucky if it comes on. Come wintertime, you're freezing. Grab a fucking blanket. It's how she was raised, and I get it. It's ingrained in her. You know, watch your money, tighten the belt. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. So in our case, my wife and I, we're not consuming a ton of electricity just because of our frugal nature. But just because we may be in a higher income bracket, I'm going to make up for California's electrical woes because they can't figure out how to produce enough electricity for the state. And whose fault is it? Theirs. I mean, we got the high-speed rail train that's been ongoing project for I couldn't even tell you how many years now. They're barely breaking ground in the Central Valley and moving that forward. That's all electric. Okay. They signed a bill to where you pretty much will not be able to buy any car that's not an electric car here within the next couple of years. So now they gotta charge all these cars. I mean, it's just one decision after another that's put them where they are. And the only way they can think of fixing it is by charging those who make more. Basically, reaching into your fucking pocket, taking it from you, and having you pick up the slack for others who can't. And again, Gavin Newsom is proud of this. He's proud of this bill, this proposal, this joint proposal. What a fucking asshat. And if that wasn't enough, moving on from that, I know, I have such good news. I just came back and here we go. Negative. I'm sorry. Look, I just bring the craziness to light. I give you the information. And, yeah. Anyway, so for those who live in California, while we stay on the California train that's still being fucking built, by the way. Anyway, those familiar with San Francisco, the iconic Golden Gate Bridge. Who does not know of the Golden Gate Bridge or hasn't heard of it? Just so you know, in California, we have probably some of the most, I want to say probably some of the most roads in the U.S. that are actually, well, they charge you to frickin' drive them. We have some of the highest traffic or worst traffic there is in the nation. And they'll take a 6-lane highway that already has a ton of traffic, take 2 lanes away, now make those express lanes. It started when it was intended to make people commute, right? You know, let's reduce the amount of cars on the road by having people drive together. Well, that's never going to fucking work. Think about it. Everyone has jobs. They're all spread out. Like if you work together, that's about it. But outside of that, with the way things are in California, most people have to commute. They either live, way out in the valley, drive to the city. In my case, let's say in the Central Valley, and then they would drive into the Bay Area. With all the traffic, you're looking at almost 3 to 4 hours drive time just to get to work. And then when they're off work, you're looking at another 3 to 4 hours just to get home. Okay. Tell me that is not a fucked up lifestyle. But hey, if you want to live in California, that's what you got to do. It's just the norm. So with all the traffic going on, the express lanes originally they were commuter lanes. They were intended to reduce the amount of cars by having people commute. All right, I already said that, but I'm just trying to keep things going here on track. So just stay with me here. Then, not that long ago, they started imposing a charge for you to be able to be on these express lanes. So if you wanted to get in a certain section of the road that got you to an exit quicker, you're now getting charged, let's say $1.75 or whatever, to use that section of road. So basically toll roads that they have dubbed express lanes. And those charges keep going up. Now, it didn't fix the solution. It just fucked everything up. Now, the reason I'm telling you all this is because California loves to charge its residents. And what's crazy is, especially in the case of express lanes, it takes 6-lane highway, turn it into a 4, and now you got worse traffic. Not everybody wants to pay to use the express lane. You just made a worse situation because you took 2 lanes away but didn't add 2 more. Fucking stupid. And now, well, not now, but and then all the bridges out here always had a toll. Like you can't even go over any bridge in California, it seems like, without paying some kind of toll just to cross. And so what they did is, they have like Fast Track, for example, where you can buy this device, you load it with money. There's a sensor up there that says, hey, this is, for example, me, this is George. He's coming across the bridge. We're going to charge his account based on whatever you loaded that thing with, right? And they used to have people taking cash. Well, after COVID, after that whole pandemic debacle, they stopped employing people to take cash. And then they said, well, you know what, we'll just bill them. They take a picture of your license plate as you're going through. They have your address, everything, and they just bill you for crossing now. There's not even anybody there to take your money anymore. Which is kind of nice because you do go through a lot quicker. It doesn't slow down anymore. But getting back to the Golden Gate Bridge. So they have proposed, well, they didn't propose, this is happening. There's new toll rates over the next 5 years. Now, I don't know what the toll is right now, but the toll increases basically by the end of the 5-year period, you'd be charged up to $12.25 just to cross the bridge. $12.25. And anybody who has to cross that bridge for work, or let's say they go the opposite way, like they live up in Sausalito or Marin and they come into San Francisco or drive even further down to work, and they have to go back that direction to get home, they're getting charged on their way home because technically that's the point where they charge you to go over the Golden Gate. So that person every single day will be charged $12.25 if their invoice. Now, if they use Fast Track, they save $1. It's $11.25. But 5 days a week. 5 days a week. I mean, think about this. $11.25 times 5. And we're talking about 52 weeks in the pay period, right? You're paying about $3,000 a year just to cross that bridge, just for you to be able to go to work or even come home from work. And you're looking at another $243.75 a month that you have to account for just to cross the fucking Golden Gate Bridge. So this is how it is going to shake down. Starting this year, July 2024. If you have Fast Track, they're going to charge you $9.25. But if you get invoice, which is what most people end up getting, it's going to now cost you $10.25. Okay. Next year in 2025, the invoice cost goes up to $10.75. In 2026, goes up to $11.25. July 2027, it's $11.75, and then July 2028, it goes up to the absurd price I just told you, which is $12.25. How do they justify this? I don't fucking know. This almost, I mean, it's supposed to go towards maintenance and everything else, but this just sounds like a way to gouge people to get more money. Because let's just be honest, California has mishandled its money. It's mishandled everything when it comes to the money. Why stop now? And they need to make it up somewhere. Like they just can't help themselves from continuing to punish those who live here. It's like, I guess we don't get the hint. They're just telling you to get the fuck on. Are we that stupid that we just, I'm talking to everybody else who lives in California, are we that stupid that we just keep taking the beating and taking the beating? Or have we become used to it? And like the old saying about the frog, right? If you put them in the pot and you slowly turn the heat up incrementally, a little bit at a time, the frog gets used to it and will never jump out of the pan until before he knows it, that frog is cooked. Kind of feels like our situation here in California. And California knows it. And they don't give a fuck. And I'm so glad that this is Gavin's last year. I can't wait for this asshole to get the hell out of office. And even more so, I can't wait for it to flip back to Republican. Even if for a year, I'm sorry, for a term, just to right the ship again. Well, California has definitely never failed to disappoint. And it is nothing more than the dumpster fire shithole that it is. Our next segment of the show, you're going to eat bugs. You like that transition? You, my friend, are going to eat bugs. And in fact, you're probably already eating them and you didn't even know it. What's this you say? Well, there's a little old organization called the World Economic Forum that has been pushing this idea for a while. In fact, its fearless leader, Klaus Schwab, swear to God, this guy, if you've ever seen him, look him up. Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum. He looks like a Bond villain and even sounds like one. He talks like a Bond villain. And he talks about this and says, basically, you will eat the bugs. He also says you will own nothing and be happy. They're even trying to charge you for air. He has an idea about a 15-minute city. They want to contain you to where no matter what you do, everything you need is within 15 minutes. You're not supposed to venture out. He wants to control the world. He's just an elitist prick. That's all he is. And the idea of eating bugs has been talked about for a few years now. A lot of people just said, it's a conspiracy theory. This isn't true. This isn't going to happen. This is bullshit. Really? Well, this from the World Economic Forum website itself. Headline: Why we need to give insects the role they deserve in our food system. Well, it says the world's population will reach 9.7 billion people by 2050. This means that despite only 4% of arable land remaining available on the surface of our planet, an additional 2 billion more humans will have to be fed. In order to address the impending crisis, world experts and leaders will meet this autumn at the UN Food Summit and then at the COP26. Often overlooked in these discussions is the potential role insects can play in helping meet this challenge. It says, the concept of insect farming is not new, and currently 1 to 1.2 trillion insects are raised on farms annually for food and animal feed. The practice has, however, remained mostly manual until now, thanks to new technologies such as artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, we are at the turning point and finally able to industrialize the breeding of insects in a contained environment. Insect breeding is a data centric agro industry with a lot of commonalities with precision agriculture. Several indoor agricultural startups have emerged. Our company, Yinsect with a Y, for example, with more than 300 technology patents and completely unique AI driven agricultural processes, is building the first fully automated vertical insect farm in the world, able to produce 100,000 tons of insect products a year. Insects are a credible and efficient alternative protein source requiring fewer resources than conventional breeding. Oh, Jesus. It says that recent studies conducted on mice have shown a significant reduction in cholesterol in subjects fed with products resulting from the processing of insects such as Tenebrio molitor. Not quite sure what that is. In addition, the high protein content makes it a highly digestible ingredient that can be used in senior nutrition. They're talking to all us senior citizens. Well, I'm not quite a senior citizen, but anyone who is a senior citizen, usually you need a different kind of food supplement or whatever. You're going to be eating bugs. All right. They're also saying it's a more sustainable production. Insect rearing is less expensive than conventional farming in terms of CO2. There they go with the old fucking CO2 climate bullshit again. All right. So in terms of CO2, water surface area, and raw materials. Moreover, raising insects allows a reduction of almost 99% in pollution compared to other forms of animal farming. Alrighty then. And it's a natural fertilizer. It says insect dejections, which is excreted waste, basically when you shit, are a natural fertilizer. Insect farm produced fertilizer has demonstrated its effectiveness on plants and vegetable crops with a significant increase in biomass and yield compared to the use of 100% chemical fertilizers, for example. Research suggests it increases yields by 20% and 25%. Hey, listen, all right, fuck the technical shit. So basically, off their own fucking website, they're talking about pushing this because it has a better, it's supposedly, it's easy to cultivate. You can do 100,000 freaking tons in a small area. It's a great source of protein, highly digestible, and your shit is really good fertilizer for veggies, which, by the way, Bill Gates is trying to control, buying all the farmland. I mean, listen, are we living in a bad fucking movie? Is what it really sounds like. But hold on, I'm not done. So the World Economic Forum, I found this other little thing here. Headline, this was from 2022, and this is 5 reasons why eating insects could reduce climate change. So the whole reason they're trying to claim that you need to eat insects is because it will reduce climate change. Do you think the elitist asshole Klaus Schwab will be eating insects? Do you think Bill Gates will be eating insects? Do ya? Tell me. I highly, highly doubt it. But hey, let's go ahead and read a little bit of this. So the 5 reasons here. 1, edible insects can produce equivalent amounts of quality protein when compared to animals. 2, insects require less care and upkeep than livestock. 3, we're actually running out of protein. What the fuck? Hold on, let me read a little more on this one. It says by 2050, the Earth will have nearly 10 billion people. The demand for protein will exceed our ability to produce it. All right, whatever. It also says, number 4, insects are a part of a virtuous ecocycle. Seriously? A virtuous fucking ecocycle? I mean, I definitely want to feel virtuous about eating insects to contribute to the ecocycle, I guess. And 5, you can start small and work your way up. How is that a good reason? All right, hold on. Let me read on this one. Maybe you're not quite ready to eat an insect. Well, fuck no, I'm not. In fact, I don't know anybody who is. Hold on. Well, they say fair enough. Okay, I can take that. Moving on. Says, but there are small and meaningful ways to introduce insect protein into your food chain. Why should I have to and want to? Jesus. All right. How about incorporating it as livestock feed or purchasing animals' proteins that have fed on insects? The environmental impact of the feed that is used in raising these animals is substantial. Approximately 45% of the greenhouse gas emissions in animal production is due to the feed production of the animals to consume. It doesn't have to be that way. Did you know chicken's natural diet before domestication included insects? Hold on. All right, these fucking people. They're all right. So I'm not understanding this argument and how I'm supposed to feel better about consuming actual insects. None of it makes any sense. Oh, but wait, it can reduce my carbon footprint. Fuck these guys. So the World Economic Forum has been preaching this for a few years. A lot of people said this was all conspiracy theory, not true, but I'm reading it. I have the links for you, and I'm going to give it to you. So this is why this is important. I know I had to give you a little background here. Headlines. This is from Tyson Foods website. What? No way. Yes. One of the largest food producers in the United States of America. Okay, let me read from their website. This was an announcement. All right. It says that Tyson Foods' global scale experience and network with Protix's technology and market leadership to meet current market demand and scale production of insect ingredients. Through a direct equity investment, Tyson Foods will acquire a minority stake in Protix to help fund its global expansion. In addition, Tyson Foods and Protix have entered a joint venture for the operation and construction of an insect ingredient facility in the continental United States. Upon completion, it will be the first at-scale facility of its kind to upcycle food manufacturing byproducts into high-quality insect proteins and lipids, which will primarily be used, well, they say primarily be used in the pet food, aquaculture, and livestock industries, but we know that's bullshit. Let me read from another little, this is from Frontline News here. Okay. Let me read a little bit about Protix here. To be built facility in the U.S. will house an enclosed system to support all aspects of insect protein production, including the breeding, incubating, and hatching of insect larvae, said Tyson Foods in a statement. In addition to ingredients for the aquaculture and pet food industries, processed larvae may be used as ingredients within livestock and plant feed. Okay, but here we go. Protix, which in 2015, and that's spelled Protix if you want to look that up. So Protix, which in 2015 was selected as one of the world's Economic Forum's technology pioneers. Oh, there's the tie-in. Hold on. So was it really a conspiracy theory? No. Let me read that again. Protix, which in 2015 was selected as one of the World Economic Forum's technology pioneers. All right. They manufacture approximately 14,000 metric tons of bug food per year under the pretext of fighting climate change. Eating insects for the weather is a practice heavily pushed by globalist governments and the World Economic Forum, which has anticipated the day when we can all buy a bag of edible insects at our local grocery store. What the fuck? Really? Wow. I'm not done. Hold on. Earlier this year, the European Union approved the use of cricket powder. That's right, crickets, ground crickets. Cricket powder in major processed foods sold to the public. In Australia, children are being fed crickets and conditioned to enjoy them as a snack. In September of 2022, 1,000 Australian schools have added chips containing eco-friendly crickets to their canteens. In one video, 3 Australian school children can be seen eating the insect-laced snacks and being conditioned in real time by adults behind the camera. Ooh, all right. In July 2022, Canada! Justin Trudeau's Canada. Well, we always knew he was a fucking crazy dictator. Anyway, in July 2022, Canada's government announced a $8.5 million Canadian investment in a new production plant that will produce cricket protein for pet and human food. Located in London, Ontario, the facility is expected to house 4 billion crickets and produce 13 million kilograms of cricket protein per year. Germany is currently searching for the most effective ways to persuade the public to eat bugs. Well, keep fucking trying there, Germany. All right, so there's enough info I threw at you. If you still doubt me, if you still think that this whole thing is a conspiracy, I don't know what else I need to show you or read to you. I mean, I'll show you in the show notes. I'll give you the links. But yeah, we all thought this was crazy. And Klaus Schwab, this crazy Bond villain of a man, has been pushing these nutty agendas. And I don't even know how the World Economic Forum, by the way, has so much power and how they can try to suggest and dictate and twist the arms of the entire world to follow their crazy, insane agendas. It really doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. Someone needs to stop these people. They really do. I don't know how it's going to be done, but somehow we got to do this. So let me get back to Tyson. So Tyson has a major stake in Protix. They're building a fucking insect protein farm, as they call it, in the United States. Okay. So why does this concern everybody? Well, Tyson's huge. Okay. Here are the brands that Tyson owns. It's not just Tyson. It's Jimmy Dean. It's Hillshire Farms. It's Ballpark. It's Sara Lee. Where do you think that cricket powder is going? It's flour. It's an ingredient that you're going to see in your fucking breads. Aside from mealworms and everything else that are going to be in your hot dogs and your sausage now. They also own Adele's sausage. There's Bosco's. There's Gallo. Your salami is no more. There's who else is on this? I mean, it's a pretty big list. You can go to their site and read it, but they own so many major brands that everybody buys and enjoys. Here's another thing I found. I got this off X. The bugs have arrived. Read the labels. So here are the brands that are actually going to be incorporating bugs as ingredients. And this is all under the Tyson banner. Hillshire Farms, Sara Lee, Jimmy Dean, Ballpark, Gallo, Pierre, State Fair, Original Philly, and Steakies. So crickets. Crickets will be labeled. I can't read it, but there's going to be crickets, mealworms, and grasshoppers that'll start to be added to all of these food brands. So again, as I said earlier, you will eat bugs. Well, that's all I got for today. Sorry to leave you on that down note. Well, actually, no. Hold on. One more thing. If you think the madness hasn't stopped, here's a guy. TEDx, Cornell University. I was about to end the show, but I forgot. I want you to hear this. Here's a highly educated speaker. This is Nathan Lorenz doing a TEDx at Cornell University, talking about how great it is that bugs are going to be introduced into your diet. Go ahead and check this out.
Researching how to do this, I stumbled across a 200-page UN report about why we should incorporate edible insects into our food systems. This was wonderful. I accidentally read the whole thing and emerged 4 hours later, ready to eat my own insect. I ran to the cricket rock, flipped it over, caught a cricket, cooked it up, and ate it. It tasted like the one I just ate for you now, a little bit like shrimp. After all, they're pretty closely related. But insects can come in a variety of shapes and flavors. This is one of my favorite insects to eat. It is a June bug grub. It has a rich, nutty flavor, although it may not look the part. Mealworms are another great option. They have takes flavor and texture somewhat similar to sunflower seeds. I love to cook them up with a little bit of rice and some vegetables and bring them to potlucks. So, in 2016...
All right, so this guy's bringing fucking bugs to potlucks. So, sorry, I was getting the show, but I really wanted to play that for you. So, and pay attention out there. It's not a conspiracy. It's fucking happening. Okay? Tyson Foods is behind it. They got a plant being built specifically to raise and produce bug proteins that they're going to put into their own brands of food, which is vast and on the shelves of every grocery store that we all consume. And if this is what Tyson's going to do there, think about it. When you think you're being smart, you're not eating it. You want to go to Starbucks and you want to go ahead and grab that breakfast sandwich or whatever. You have no fucking idea if that bread doesn't have cricket powder in it. If the meat even is meat anymore. If it's just a bunch of ground mealworms, you're gonna get a burger at McDonald's. Well, fuck. Good luck there. I guarantee that whole thing's gonna be made out of bugs. I know this sounds gross, and it sounds like, you know, I'm waving the flag of doom over here, but listen, I don't know how we're gonna combat this outside of you growing your own food and supporting local farmers who are still holding out here that haven't been, you know, harassed by the government or Bill Gates. But outside of the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and this guy here, Nathan Lorenz, I mean, a TEDx talking about how great it is. There's also celebrities like Nicole Kidman. There's a video of her out there where she talks about enjoying a 4-course meal and she eats it on video, all entirely made of insects. There are celebrities that are getting behind this bullshit. If you're telling me that this isn't, you know, some crazy sci-fi movie that we're literally living in, that none of this is planned and implemented and being pushed and controlled by the elitists at the top of, well, the food chain, you're crazy, because it is happening. And I can't believe that in my time of life that I would be going through this, but I am. And after all that being said, I will now end the show. I want to thank every single person again for tuning in, but I need you to share the show. Share the greatness that is World Ablaze. Subscribe, like, continue to listen.
I wanna taste your content, hold your breath.
Thank you all.
Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell.